Hi everybody, welcome back. The big takeaways from Chapter 11 on personality theory and assessment are these. In psychology, the study of personality involves multiple theories, each with unique contributions to our understanding of personality. Discussed in this chapter are theories, how it is formed, and how it should be understood, personality. First big takeaway. Sigmund Freud and psychoanalysis. Let's talk a little bit about this. Probably the most psychological of all the theories on personality discussed in this chapter. And I want you to focus on this as a big takeaway. Psychology is, of course, indebted to Sigmund Freud for emphasizing the influence of early childhood experiences, 0 to 6 years of age, in later development. We saw that in the earlier chapter on human development, right? And he was very correct about that, the importance of 0 to 6 development. Age 0 to 6. Here in this chapter, we see Freud's proposal for the inner workings of personality, the psyche, if you will. He was the first to say that behavior is simply a surface characteristic. That is, to understand personality, we must uncover and explore the deep inner workings of the human mind. Freud used the metaphor of the iceberg to describe how only a small portion of adult personality is actually visible to others. Metaphorically, only a small portion of the iceberg is visible above the surface of the water. This resides within the conscious mind. Below the surface, the unconscious, he proposed, was part of the deep inner workings within us and much more complex and much more interesting. This is so fascinating. Below the surface of that metaphorical water was the largest portion of the iceberg and most of the psyche, as Freud says it. This is the domain of the superego and more noticeably the id. Let's talk about the id. Really, really interesting in this chapter is the history of where Freud got his idea of the id, that primitive, animal-like, instinctual part of the psyche. Freud studied Darwin's theory of evolution from the natural sciences, the idea that humans evolved from lower-level primitive animal species. He acknowledged that the sophistication of human achievement was impressive, our inventiveness, human creativity, the artistry of the humanities, the elegance of social rules and norms by which we cooperate with each other in these achievements. But then Freud asked a really interesting question. Where did the animal go? If we evolved from animals, where did the animal go? The animal in us, where did it go? The idea that the id is Freud's acknowledgement that the animal did not just disappear, because when we're under stress or showing intense emotions, people can feel and behave in a very animal-like way. We see anger, violence, striking out, as well as sexual desire, and sometimes those things are combined with each other. Within the id resides desire, lust, aggression, sensuality, and violent leanings that, even if people don't like talking about these kind of primitive animal-like capacities, they're a very real part of private human experience and sometimes public. Ask yourself if you have ever in your life been angry enough to want to punch somebody. I hope you didn't. But there, of course, you have that animal-like desire for violence in the midst of our polite, respectful society collaborating and working together. Similarly, sexual desire and lust are very real in adolescence through middle adulthood, and no mature adult can deny that they're a part of human experience. It may not be put for polite conversation in public, but these are still very real in private human experience. Freud's proposal of the id was really startling at its time, but it captures human experience, along with the id and superego as components of personality. Today, most professionals agree that these id, ego, and superego truly mirror aspects of personality and help us understand human behavior and motives, because it captures the tension and conflict that guide how we conduct ourselves as fundamentally selfish people governed by id desires, but who choose to live in a civilized society governed by rules of the superego. And the ego, of course, is our adult mind trying to satisfy selfish desires within the world of rules and restraint. In the video in this chapter, they say Freud saw the psyche as a battleground between our desires and the constraints of the civilized world that we choose to live in. The centerpiece of this chapter is Freud's proposed concepts for looking at personality, for understanding those inner aspects of personality, the id, the ego, and the superego. The second big takeaway for this chapter, the second big takeaway is about personality assessment. Question, how do we get to know a person's personality? What specific information tells us? Well, the answer is it's their actions and their behavior, right? Personality tests are designed to measure the amount of those behavior and actions as stable characteristics in your personality, free of situational influence, free of conflicts, contexts. This is who you are consistently all the time, predictably who you are. That's personality. Personality assessment itself is used for several different reasons, notably to assess psychological health, to improve diagnoses and mental illness. It can be used as an aid in career selection. For example, many of us may have taken what they called an interest inventory back when we were in high school about future career choices. You might remember that. That's one use of a personality test. This is also, by the way, reminds me about the optional extra credit assignment. You do have the option to turn in to me the results of an online personality test and receive those 3 points of extra credit. That personality test is based upon the Myers-Briggs type indicator discussed in this chapter. I do encourage you to complete this extra credit assignment. This is fun. It's interesting. You're going to like this. You get a personality profile at the end describing aspects of your personality that most people find to be pretty insightful and pretty accurate. My results were pretty accurate and pretty interesting. It was me. It really was me. I hope you'll take that opportunity to learn something about yourself. So in summary, the big takeaways in this chapter from Chapter 11, Personality Theory and Assessment, are these. Number one, Freud's theory are the centerpiece of this chapter. He was the first to say that personality is simply a surface characteristic, and to understand it, we must uncover and explore those inner workings of the mind. Number two, personality tests, also known as assessments, are designed to measure the amount of those behavior and actions that define your stable characteristics, tendencies, and reactions to life experiences and events happening around you. Those are the big takeaways from this chapter 11 on personality theory and assessment. Thank you, everybody.